Welcome to this explainer. So today we're diving right into a massive, fundamental shift in how businesses actually operate. We're talking about the architectural breakthrough that finally, and I mean absolutely finally, makes scaling AI agents economically and practically possible for the enterprise. If you've been banging your head against the wall with ballooning AI budgets and those frustrating scalability roadblocks, well, you're in the right place. This is the strategic roadmap you need. Let me ask you a question. What if you could deploy an entirely autonomous digital workforce, one that's capable of running complex, week-long projects, and here's the kicker, it actually cuts your AI compute costs by 90%. I know, it sounds like pure science fiction, right? But it's literally the reality that leading enterprises are building right this second. And the secret? It's not necessarily about waiting around for a smarter AI model. It's about a radically different way of organizing the AI you already have. Okay, so let's break this down. We are officially shifting away from the era of static software and moving straight into intent-driven autonomous workforces. Think about it. Traditionally, automation meant those brittle, rule-based bots that basically broke the second an exception popped up. Or generative AI that needed you to hold its hand for every single step. Not anymore. Now, we're moving to goal-directed systems. You just give an agent a high-level objective, and it autonomously breaks that goal down, picks the right tools, collaborates with other agents, fixes its own mistakes, and just executes across multi-step workflows. We are fundamentally transforming digital tools into digital employees. It's a total game changer. And the stakes here? Absolutely monumental. According to Capgemini, Agentic AI could generate up to $450 billion in economic value by 2028. $450 billion! But look, the organizations actually capturing that value, they aren't just slapping an AI chatbot onto their legacy processes. The real payoff comes from totally reimagining your workflows from first principles. Seriously, ask yourself, if you are building your core business functions from scratch today, knowing you have an autonomous digital workforce at your disposal, would it look anything like your current operations? Probably not. We're basically witnessing a brand new Moore's Law, but for AI agents. Research from Met is showing that the length of tasks frontier systems can successfully complete is doubling every 7 months. Just think about that trajectory. In early 2025, we're looking at agents handling 1-hour tasks. Fast forward to late 2026, and we're talking full 8-hour workdays handled autonomously. Extrapolate that out just a bit further to 2028, and these systems are projected to manage full 40-hour work weeks entirely on their own. But all right, let's pause for a second because there is a massive, glaring scaling roadblock here. Recent research reveals that every single AI agent out there experiences severe performance degradation after just 35 minutes of human time on a task. 35 minutes. It's kind of like, imagine an intern trying to work 40 hours straight without sleep or even a single coffee break. It's just not going to happen. You absolutely cannot hand a single AI model a massive project, tell it to work for a week, and expect it to succeed. It'll fail, and trust me, it will fail expensively. So why does this happen? Well, relying on a single massive model for a really long task leads to some severe cascading issues. First up, you have attention decay. Even with those massive context windows we hear so much about, as the model's memory fills up with recent minor details, it literally just forgets its original instructions. Second, if it makes a tiny hallucination early on, that compounds into massive errors down the line. And worst of all, because you're forcing the system to send the entire history back to the model for every single little decision, your token costs grow exponentially. In fact, doubling a task's duration actually quadruples its failure rate. So, how do we fix this? Enter the definitive answer to those compounding errors and ballooning budgets, the planner-worker architecture. Instead of relying on one gigantic, monolithic model trying to do absolutely everything, we decouple the high-level reasoning from the repetitive day-to-day execution. This is, without a doubt, the dominant architecture emerging in production systems right now. It completely isolates context and drastically reduces your overhead. A great way to think about this is like a major construction site. The planner is your expensive general contractor designing the blueprint. You want to use your most capable premium frontier model for this job. But here's the thing. You would never pay a high-end architect's hourly rate to screw in light bulbs, right? Yet that is exactly what companies are doing when they use a massive frontier model for every single step of a workflow. Instead, the general contractor delegates to the workers. These are your specialized subcontractors, like the plumbers or electricians doing the focused execution. In AI terms, these are your smaller, significantly cheaper, and much faster models. And once they're done, the planner just reviews the work to ensure it matches the original blueprint. Now, to scale that simple construction analogy up for massive, complex enterprise workflows, we use something called hierarchical planning modules. Because look, when a task requires thousands of independent decisions, one planner and a couple of workers just won't cut it. So we create these tree-like structures. Overarching goals are recursively broken down into smaller atomic units, which establishes a really robust, highly efficient chain of command across your entire digital workforce. By breaking these goals down into nested subtasks, something magical happens. Each worker operates with complete context isolation. This means the worker agent is only given the specific tools and instructions for its immediate, narrow job. Its memory stays completely fresh, totally bypassing that 35-minute degradation problem we talked about earlier. Plus, this hierarchy allows for super precise dependency tracking, so the system knows exactly what must happen before something else. And it unlocks incredible parallel execution, where multiple agents are tackling different subtasks all at the exact same time. Let's paint a picture of how this actually plays out across a week-long autonomous sprint. Day 1, your heavy-hitting planner generates the overarching strategy. Days 2 and 3, that's all parallel worker execution happening across those isolated, clean contexts. By day 4, specialized reviewer agents step in for quality assurance and validation, and day 5 is the final integration. We are already seeing platforms successfully execute these exact week-long runs in incredibly high-stakes enterprise environments, like Goldman Sachs, making consistent, reliable progress across multiple context windows. But you know this delegation isn't just about preventing errors or hallucinations. It completely flips the financial equation on its head. Running a massive, multi-step task exclusively on a frontier model causes your token cost to absolutely balloon out of control. By using that premium model strictly for the initial plan and the final review, and then routing all those repetitive subtasks to faster, cheaper models, the planner worker system can yield up to a 90% cost reduction. 90%! When you stop forcing your most expensive models to execute basic repetitive steps, the economic ROI of agentic AI becomes immediately viable for the enterprise. And crucially, it solves the cost predictability crisis. Let's be real, business leaders hate unpredictable variable costs. This architecture brings actual budget stability, simply because you only pay for that premium reasoning when you absolutely fundamentally need it. Now, to keep these systems running lean and mean, enterprises are deploying what we call deep agents. These combine that delegation we just talked about with extreme context pruning and persistent memory checkpoints. Think of a persistent memory checkpoint exactly like saving your progress in a video game. You don't have to restart the entire level if you mess up a jump, right? These frameworks automatically save agent states at regular intervals. So if a session times out or hits a random error, it just resumes from the last known good checkpoint without skipping a beat. So what does this all mean for us? Well, it entirely reframes the human role. It shifts us away from doing the tactical execution and turns us into the orchestrators of these autonomous systems. The human role shifts from writing every single line of code to validating the outcomes produced by developer and tester agents. You essentially move from being the worker on the assembly line to being the manager, freeing you up to focus on strategic intent, complex exception handling, and the overarching business logic. To get your enterprise ready for this, your IT teams have to evolve. They need to move beyond simply training simple models and learn how to orchestrate interconnected agents with governance embedded directly into the code itself. This means adopting AI-native security practices, like jailbreak defense, which essentially ensures users or other systems can't somehow trick the AI into breaking company rules. Because of this shift, we're seeing the rise of entirely new enterprise roles. Things like the agent product owner, who actually manages the ROI of the agent workforce, and the agent governance lead, who ensures operations remain totally compliant and secure. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final critical thought. The systems are absolutely capable of doing the work today, but is your enterprise structured to lead them? The biggest barrier to scaling agentic AI, it's no longer the underlying technology, it's organizational readiness, it's workflow redesign, it's change management. Thank you so much for tuning into this explainer today. I really hope this gives you a clear, actionable blueprint for leading the future of your autonomous workforce.